Welcome to Prism, a podcast meant to inform and encourage church leaders. Here we'll cover every area of church life, from assimilation to personal care and everything in between. So regardless of the size, type, or location, Prism will be a guiding light for brighter churches everywhere. And now here's your host, Neal Scoggins.
And welcome to another edition of the Prism podcast. Again, like it said, my name is Neal Scoggins. So glad that you guys have decided to join us today. Thank you so much for downloading and liking and commenting. Also, share these episodes with everybody else on whatever your platform actually is with the Prism podcast. If you have ideas of folks that you want to be on the Prism podcast, you can email us or write a review, and we'll be happy to get that there. We'll put that in the show notes, an email address that you can actually email us here on the Prism podcast. Today, I am with, so let me just kind of give you a little background a little bit. There's a church in Central Arkansas that got married. Two churches got married. And I know that's, everybody's getting married nowadays, but it's not what you think it's actually going to be. But two churches ended up getting married. The secular term is called a merger, but these two churches got married. They actually have three pastors that are on staff. That's called Grace United. Actually, one of the churches with the Arkansas Baptist State Convention. We're so excited about that marriage. But we have one of the pastors here, Bishop Steven Arnold, that was the pastor of Grace Temple, that was also an ABSC church, that can talk. We're going to talk a little bit about that marriage. And it's going to be a two-parter, so let me go ahead and let you guys know now. Part one, we're going to talk about Bishop Arnold and the path of how we kind of got here. And then next week, 2 weeks, we'll talk to Joshua Hurlburt and the Grace Church side of the marriage. Bishop Arnold, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah. So this is Prism on the road. We're not in the studio. We're actually
take the show on the road.
This is the second time we took the show on the road.
Right.
Last podcast we talked to George Ross from New Orleans.
Okay.
And had a great time with him talking about church plants. But tell me a little bit about Grace Temple and Grace United. I mean, this is, and why you call it a marriage instead of a merger.
I look at the term merger as more of a legal term that, it was a hostile takeover. One party was not really crazy about it, but they decided to go it on and go with it.
Yeah.
Normally a marriage is two, people, two entities coming together to say, this is what we want to do.
Yeah.
We believe that God wants us to be together.
Yeah.
So I like to refer to it as a marriage.
Yeah.
And then it carries with it the spiritual connotation.
That's good.
That God has brought this together.
Yeah.
We say what God has joined together.
Yeah.
Let not man
put asunder. There you go.
That'll preach.
Yeah. Actually, I used that in a sermon one time.
Right.
I did use it in a sermon.
All right.
So Grace United came about because of Grace Temple and Grace Church. Tell me about the Grace Temple side. Where was Grace Temple? What kind of facilitated that interaction?
We're going back to Grace Temple was born and birthed in 2010.
Okay.
We saw God do some awesome, powerful, amazing things within basically a 12-year period. The church was 12 years old. And then, we had quite a few locations. We started out on Mississippi, moved from Mississippi to Bowman, next to Best Buy, the old location that used to be called Linen and Things. That was our second location. And I guess probably the most joyful time and at the height of our existence, we were over on Shackelford in a warehouse.
Okay.
And it was in that spot that because we started with about 250, but it was at that location that we got as large as 700 members during that phase.
So wait a minute. So for those of you that are not in Central Arkansas, so you started Mississippi, Bowman? Mm-hmm. Now, how far is Mississippi and Bowman from each other as far as Central Arkansas?
Probably maybe 5 to 7 miles.
Okay, so within 5 to 7 miles, and then from Bowman to Shackelford?
Mm-hmm. Another 5 to 7 miles.
Then another 5 to 7, and then, so you're there. So how was the church? You say 700.
Yeah.
So how large was the church like when you started at Mississippi?
Probably about 250.
So you jumped out the blocks with 250.
Yes.
Now
we had to start off with 2 services.
This is a church plant.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. You started off like an existing church.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I had history.
Yeah. Clearly. Clearly.
I had history and name recognition. So
clearly.
I tell people all the time, don't base your church plant on me.
Yeah, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Well, Bishop Arnold did it.
Don't you do it.
Don't do it.
You'll hurt yourself.
You're going to hurt yourself.
That's right.
And it's going to hurt.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to hurt bad. Oh, it's going to hurt bad. For real. So you move and then you grow from 200 some odd folks to 700.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a swell. That's legitimate.
Yeah.
Actively engaged folks.
Yes.
That's another 5 miles away. Wow.
Yes.
So got to 7. And then did you move? Well, you moved again after that.
Yeah, we moved. I always believed that God had a design, and it was along with my desire for us to be in West Little Rock.
Yeah.
Wow.
But,
you know, even in the midst of leading churches, and this is a moment of transparency, that sometimes as leaders we can get off track, and I really believe that when we moved to Eastport over in the East End, we got off track.
Yeah. So to give you an idea, so that 5 mile radius turned into a 15 mile radius.
Close to 20.
Yeah. It moved to the 20 mile radius. Now what's funny about that is all of the facilities, except the first. All of the facilities were a warehouse or a remodel spot.
Yes.
The first place and the last place was a church building.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the world shut down. You moved to a church building and the world shut down.
And I look at all of that during the pandemic. It was a God sent in a lot of ways, because it was during that pandemic that things became a very big struggle for us financially.
Yeah.
And the people that we were purchasing the facility from did not want to renegotiate or cut us any slack during that time. And the bills was just really outrageous.
Yeah.
But
now, how old were you? How old were you at that time? How old was?
Probably 11 years old at that time.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Because that was in 20. Yeah.
Yeah,
we were
10 or 11.
10 years old.
10 years old. Yeah.
And so it was during that time that I just knew that it was not the will of God for us to be there.
Yeah.
It was not the will of God.
Yeah.
And me and you during that time, we had a whole bunch of conversations.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
And I'm like, no, this is the devil.
I'm not gonna say what you said about putting keys in an envelope and walking away. It was that was something. That was a tough time.
It was a very tough time.
Yeah.
But it was during that season that I knew that it was time for us to leave.
Yeah.
And I look at what I was willing to do was a step of faith, to box up those keys and mail those keys back to
the owner
Missouri,
of the building.
to the owner of the building, because tell you what, we're not going to be here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So then you connect with. So how did you meet Josh? How did that?
We had a mutual friend, because when we moved out of the location next to Best Buy, I came in contact with a pastor, super guy named Brock Patterson, who was the pastor of also a startup church at that time. They were looking for a location. So as we were exiting out, I was able to get him in to that location.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yes.
I didn't realize that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we moved out, they moved in.
Gotcha.
So
and then
they
you
kind of picked up our lease.
That's a major favor right there.
What
like
you said.
for real.
Yeah, what you said. Yeah.
So you're there, and then you say Brock. So Brock, does Brock
I called
introduce
Brock one day leaving from the location out by the airport, and I'm like, look, I got to call. I need to make some phone calls. There's got to be someone around here who knows of a facility, who's willing to share a facility.
Yeah.
And God is such an amazing God. He has such an amazing way of orchestrating, his sovereign plan, his sovereign will. So I called Brock, and Brock answers the phone and says, hey, I know a guy out in West Little Rock at Grace Church. He may be willing to share space. He said, "You mind if I call him?" I said, "No, no problem." Here is a divine move in this thing. It was the day that Brock was getting ready to move out of state the following day.
Oh, man. So you're talking to him the day before he's leaving?
Yes. And ironically, Josh stays across the street from Josh. From Brock. Okay?
Really?
Brock has started coming to church here doing his transition from the church he started and the church he was getting ready that he got called to in Florida.
What?
Yes.
So, man, okay.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I knew bits and pieces of it, but I had no idea.
Yes. Okay. And so Brock calls Josh. Josh comes across the street to help Brock pack to leave. Okay?
Come on.
And so the following day, me and Josh have a conversation.
Wow.
We set up a time. You come over with me.
I come over, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to tell you, I was suspicious. Because I have seen, and so Josh is white.
Yeah.
You know, and clearly you can tell by voices that we black.
We black.
But yeah, so we come over. Now, I've worked with churches before, especially with the convention, that have tried to do that. It has been an epic fail.
Yes.
Every single, and I'm not talking about, I'm talking about sharing space.
Yes.
That
Right.
has been, so I said, listen, as one of the ABSC, let me come over here and just see what happens.
Right.
And make sure that nothing goes crazy.
Right.
I believe in that meeting, that very first meeting, is Josh made a comment about something that did he do it in the first meeting?
Yeah.
Comment about
You
something.
would listen to him. I really wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm more so looking at the location.
You walking around looking, talking about, okay, we can afford it. What does it look like? And we get our folks in here.
Right.
And I'm listening to him, and I'm like, this guy is talking about, I've been praying to do ministry with an African American group.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, wait a minute, what you mean by that? You know,
Yeah.
that blew me away.
Yeah, because you remember, you were the negotiator. You were the
I was in between.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, you know, you like, well, what about, nope, this is what you do. This is what you can offer, and this is what you can do, and this is what you can't do. This is what you won't do.
Yes.
Yeah. I was trying to do my job.
You did your due diligence. You did. Yeah.
And so y'all start talking. Josh, and then there was another second meeting. And you bring in your prayer partner, Pastor Al Romes.
Pastor Al Romes.
And we're sitting, and I came with the alterations.
Right.
And Josh says this. Josh says, that's fine.
Yeah.
Let me take it to the elders. And fast forward to conversations about cohabitating to getting married.
Yes.
See, let me tell you something. I don't want to go off on a tangent here, but let me just say this. That's the danger of cohabitation. The danger of cohabitation. Because here's the deal. Don't get comfortable cohabitating. Because if you listen, whether you common law or legally, you're going to be married.
Yeah.
You will be identified as being.
Yeah, because people start identifying us as being one church before we became one church.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because people are like, oh, yeah, you go to the black church or the white. Yeah, that's where we go. We go to both of them. Wow. That's
But can you see, and you've been around me for a long time.
Yeah.
But does this not remind you of what happened
30 years? Yeah, it did.
Yes.
I mean, just the same. You know what? Here's the thing. and you know, it's shifting a little bit, but I really want to kind of pursue this. When we are legitimately following God.
Yes. Glory.
God has a way of orchestrating, I'm using your word, orchestrating things, laying out a plan that never would have happened. Number one, first of all, had we not submitted.
Yes.
Had we not submitted.
Right.
Had you not finally said, you know what?
I'm not
going
here.
to stay here until. And here's the thing. Let me just encourage a pastor or a leadership board right now.
There you go.
When you see things moving in a certain direction, you are
when the
held
brook
accountable.
drying up.
You better look for a widow. When the brook dries up, look for a widow.
Yes.
Gathering sticks.
Yes.
Matter of fact, when Jesus told him to go and
glory.
prepare the upper room, he said, go look for a man carrying a pitcher of water.
Yeah.
Pitcher of water, I don't know why, but you go look for, because here's the deal. When you hold on too long,
You're going to die.
you go die.
You
That's
gonna
right.
die.
That's
You
right.
gonna die.
A friend of mine gave me a picture. I'm gonna show you the text later on. There was a video for the book Who Moved My Cheese.
Yeah.
And we're gonna put that link in the show notes as well to the book Who Moved My Cheese. Take your leadership team through that book because it allows you to look for vision and the hand of God in many different ways.
And Neal, you know, what you just transitioned is so powerful because sometimes as leaders, we want to save face and say, we just, you know, we realize that the brook is dried up, everything is drying up, but we just going, I'm just going to stay. I had to risk embarrassment walking away from that place. To the degree that I was willing to file bankruptcy, everything.
Golly.
Because I knew it was not the will of God to be here. And God erased all of that. We never had to file anything. We never went through any legal challenges. The people just said, bye. We're going to cancel the contract.
Now that is another miracle. In all of that. I mean, it does not matter what was going on culturally, because the culture it was crazy. Nobody was people were asking for more. Now this is the same. You have a financial institution that was not willing to negotiate. You're dealing with a global pandemic that's negatively affecting so many things. You were doing worship on the parking lot,
all of that.
You know, all of this different thing. I mean, just so many things that were happening. But the owner of the facility that you were walking away from said, "Hey, you know what? This is what we're going to do. Don't file any paperwork." So there is not a stain on your economic record that shows that if you don't say it, people won't know.
There you go.
If you don't say it, people won't know.
But I, you know, as a result of what God did, sometimes I think I need to say something for the encouragement of some others. Just to know that the sovereignty of God is always working, always moving on our behalf. And it gives you a whole new revelation. And my dad tells me this all the time. And we know that all things work together for the good. May not look good at the time, but if you just trust and believe, there's going to be better on the other side.
That's it. Got a couple of minutes left. Let me kind of transition a little bit and move forward with negotiations. Started talking. You got two leadership groups. You have Grace Temple and then you got Grace Church. And again, God did something miraculous in the mix with that as well. Because when you have an existing elder, deacon, leadership board that has been doing things a certain way. Grace Temple was 11, 12 years old, I guess, at the time. Grace Church was probably 30 plus years old. So, but both were in a season of, we want to just glorify God. We really want to give God glory.
Because when we first got here, that first year, I declared that first year was going to be a year of reset.
That's right. That's right.
It was a reset. Which meant I start seeing the possibilities of a marriage. So when you start seeing the possibility, even in the natural, you talking about getting married, there's some things you need to pump your brakes on.
Trim down.
Trim
down some things.
Cut back on some stuff.
That's it.
Because you see where you're going. And so when we made that first year a year of reset, there's some things I never started back doing. Because I saw where we were going. That was good. And I think Grace Church, actually, I'm not speaking for them. We'll have them on the next time on the podcast, but I think that they kind of were in a circle, in a circling action as well, saying, hey, you know what, this is pretty much what we're going to do. And they were going to stay where they were. African, predominantly 99% African-American congregation and a 99% white congregation. And the leadership finally said, you know what, this is what we're going to do. Here's what the miracle things for me, and I saw this happen. There's an elder on the Grace Church elder board that said, you know what,
I may not necessarily be able to be a part of what's going forward, but I don't want to hurt it.
Yes,
and he stepped back and
Yes.
then wrote an email. And I saw the email that said, you know what, if we do, it's kind of like Gamaliel, I think.
Yeah.
You know, if we try to go against it and it's God, we won't win anyway.
won't win anyway.
You know, we won't win. So if it's God, it's going to survive.
Yeah.
If it's not God, it won't survive. And the rest really is history. We'll get Josh's piece, and then I'll do a little sum up with both of you guys. Probably this may turn into 3 podcasts.
No
at some
problem.
point.
No problem.
But just knowing that history, using this time to encourage leadership to listen to God. If you have to do something to encourage leadership.
I've been in this for 40 years, and there's no replacement for prayer and being patient before God to get instructions from Him. This is His church.
Yep.
This is His ministry. It's not ours. And to have an openness, old preachers used to say, when you pray, keep the side door open. Sometimes when we pray, we're looking a certain direction.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's not the direction. Sometimes it's a side door that the Holy Spirit will come in and say, no, we're going to take you in a different direction. And there's a friend that we've had for years, Prentice Dupins. He did a poem one time, The Road Less Traveled.
Yeah.
Most leaders, most churches are not willing to go down the road that is less traveled.
Yeah.
But there's a blessing when we have enough faith, courage to say, God, I'm going to trust you.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's not a lot of people on this road.
Yeah.
But I'm going down it.
Yeah.
And I tell people that having enough confidence, having enough courage to say, Lord, I'm going to trust you when I can't trace you. I'm going to trust you when I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I'm going to trust you when I don't know what the outcome going to be.
Yeah.
But it's going to be good.
Man,
Yeah.
that's if you are not encouraged by this podcast, I'm gonna tell you, man, you just go back and listen to it again. Go ahead and share. Bishop Arnold, thank you so much for joining us on the Prism podcast. Thank you for sharing just your story about from I don't even know what to call this, from there to marriage. How marriage kind of came about, but it really turned into a time of encouragement for leadership.
Yes.
This is really a season to encourage church leadership. Listen, go ahead, like and subscribe to the Prism podcast on whatever platform you're listening to Prism on. Thank you so much for joining us on this time. Bishop Arnold, thank you so much again for being a part of the Prism podcast. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Prism. We hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. If you did, or even if you didn't, be sure to follow, like, and subscribe so you'll never miss one episode